My name is Maniza Naqvi, and this is the 20th episode of the Little Book Company podcast. Today, I'm in conversation with Raheela Baqai. She is the Director Communications, PR and Events at Oxford University Press, Pakistan. Welcome, Raheela.
Thank you, Maniza, and thank you for having me on this podcast with you.
Or you're most welcome. You know, you have brought so much joy to me for your 15 episodes, I should say, of the Karachi Literature Festival that happens annually. You have successfully played a major role in the organization and the implementation of the largest literature festival in Pakistan, the Karachi Literature Festival, and also later the Islamabad Literature Festival. As I said, KLF has now been going for 15 years and Islamabad Literature Festival for 9.
Yes, exactly. And this year, it's going to be the 10th edition of Islamabad Literature Festival, and we already had celebrated the 15th edition of Karachi Literature Festival in February.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Rahila, having attended many of the, or most of them in Karachi, the Literature Festival, I have to say that in all of them, I've noted that you have never ever taken the limelight, and you know, organized these, and you seem to be quietly everywhere. Taking care of things and making sure things you know, run smoothly, and people are praising you but also complaining to you, and yet you just keep on keeping on.
Well, that's what I'm supposed to do, I think, because I represent the organization, which is Oxford University Press, and OUP happens to be the organizer for the festival. So, as part of the OUP, as their director, earlier marketing, and currently communications, PR, and events, it is my responsibility to ensure that the festival runs smoothly and there aren't any hiccups, there aren't any problems while organizing it, and the show has to run smoothly. And of course, somebody has to take the responsibility. And as the head of marketing, it falls under my jurisdiction. So you see me as a quiet soldier running here and there, quietly doing the things and ensuring that everything runs smoothly.
You do a wonderful job of that. And tell me more about the Karachi Literature Festival. How many people attend it? I mean, tell me a little bit about the history of it from 15 years ago till now.
Okay, so Karachi Literature Festival started way back in 2010. It was initiated by the then managing director of Oxford University Press, and along with British Council, the two organizations decided to hold a literature festival where the authors, poets, writers could be at the center stage, where they could be the heroes and heroines of that event. So, with that perspective in mind, and of course, to promote reading, to promote a culture of books, and and on the sidelines to project the softer image of Pakistan, to let the world know that what a happening place Pakistan is, and how the people can sit together across the table, and they can discuss, they can have a discourse, they can argue. So, with all these objectives in mind, the first Karachi Literature Festival was held in 2010 at Hotel Carlton. There we had around 60 to 70 sessions for 2 days. It was attended by around, if I remember correctly, there were around 100 speakers,
Mhm.
and it was attended by hardly 5 to 10,000 people at that time in 2010.
5,000.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So it was a small number. And then gradually, as it started happening, people started knowing about it. So that thing it continued. And last year, which was the 15th KLF, we had more than 100,000 people attending it. There were around 200 speakers, and the sessions were around I think they were around 60 to 70 sessions altogether. So it has really grown immensely in
Yes.
its attraction, in its sessions, the people who come there, the speakers who are happy to join us. So it has become an annual event in the cultural calendar of Karachi, I would say Pakistan, because it attracts a lot of people from within Pakistan and from outside Pakistan as well. People plan their vacations to
Mhm.
be in Karachi in February so that they could attend the KLF.
And the present company is no exception to that, because I definitely plan coming to Pakistan around the Karachi Literature Festival. And let me just speak a little bit, just as a nostalgic moment of the first Karachi Literature Festival at Carlton, which was small. There were 5,000 people. The sessions, because it was the first one, and it was in 2010. Karachi was still going through a tremendous amount of turmoil, and there were huge security concerns. And yet, this festival happened. It was happening quietly, but it was such a big thing, because almost every single one of those sessions had people on it as moderators or as participants who had a particular progressive view, such as Fahmida Riaz. She graced so many of those panels, and she brought to those panels her literary vision and view, and of progress, and how a just society looks. And I felt like I was in one of the most wonderful, cherishable moments of my life, to attend a conference, a festival where there was so much talk of progress, of human justice. It was so wonderful, and about fiction and poetry.
Yes, Maniza. And it all started initially, as you correctly mentioned, it all started with having all these progressive writers and authors who could talk about Pakistan, who could talk about their work, who could talk about so many things. And gradually, it has now become a more of a literature and cultural festival where we have a bit of everything. There's talk about books, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. Then there's talk about the current topics, the issues, the political conditions of the world, with a focus on Pakistan, the kind of international politics we have. So then, having said that, there is dance, there is music, there is talk about sports, cricket. So there is so much for, I mean, in those 2.5 days, that we try to have something for every walk of life, something for people, for every segment, for every class, for every interest, so that people could come and enjoy. Once
Absolutely.
they are there at the festival, then they get hooked, then they get glued to the various sessions by interest. Sometimes people come just to attend a session on cricket, but then they're forced to attend a stand-up comedy, then they go and listen to a book launch or a book talk. So it becomes such a happening place that people who plan to come there, that will be attending one session or two sessions, they ultimately end up staying there for the whole day.
Oh, yes.
So
And
that is what the effect is.
yes, and again, I have to be a little nostalgic. I remember at the first and the second literature festivals where I can't remember if it was the first or was it was the second one at Carlton, where where Muhammad Hanif was reading from his book A Case of Exploding Mangoes, and the room was packed. There must have been about a thousand people packed into that room, and there was so much laughter as he was reading, and it was amazing the joy that people were feeling hearing him read. And I had just come back from another session where Fahmida Riaz was reading, had just finished reading her poetry, and literally my head was spinning. And I got to meet so many wonderful authors, including Hanif Qureshi. Shobha Day had attended, Vikram Seth had attended. More recently, we had Booker Prize winners such as Shehan Tilaka.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
The second name is quite difficult to pronounce.
yes, I have to do it phonetically. and but I do manage it somehow. But and then Damon Galgeet was there recently, and then we had just now Joseph Massad, who's been in the news for his stance at Columbia University, where the protests are going on. You've had Adania Shibli, who again, Germany rescinded an award from her because of her on her book Minor Detail. So really, Karachi Literature Festival has been absolutely amazing.
And it gives us so much pleasure when we have these Booker Prize authors with us, and then all those Pakistani origin writers who have been writing in English and getting awards, like Kamila Shamsi, like Muhammad Hanif, like Hanif Qureshi, Nadeem Ahmed. I mean, you name them, there are so many of them. And each one of them, we had been fortunate to have all of them at various point of times at any of the festivals.
Mhm.
So we really take pride in having such big names with us, and the pride that we were the ones who could invite these people, and we could introduce them to to the to the book lovers here in Karachi, to the general audience for whom these people would not have been accessible under normal circumstances.
Absolutely. I met
So
Ali
that is the
Akbar.
power of the literature festival.
Exactly. I met Ali Akbar Natik through the Karachi Literature Festival, the poet. I met, I got to know Kishwar Nahid. I wouldn't have gotten to know her otherwise if it hadn't been for the Karachi Literature Festival. Iftikhar Arif Sahab. So it is an amazing, amazing platform and forum, I must say.
And my desire, my wish, my prayers are that, like, every person has a day to end, because I'm also, serving an organization, but I wish that this legacy should continue, and should the festivals keep on happening, not just KLF, but other festivals also, because it was KLF which started this movement of literature festivals all over Pakistan. And now we are having so many of them. We have a Lahore Literature Festival, we have Hyderabad Literature Festival, Peshawar Literature Festival, Quetta Literature Festival, Faisalabad Literature Festival. So there are so many of them that I wish and pray that this movement continues, and more such festivals take place, where people could be exposed to these lovely authors, writers, poets, books, and we could bring some improvement in our society, in our culture, through these festivals.
Well, our society definitely can use the healing power and the balm that they have this enormous asset. We have this wonderful culture and literature and ability to write poetry and speak it, and people cherish it so much. All it requires is the forums to be able to really to 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 express themselves and their voices, so that those voices can be heard far and loudly. And I think, the literature festivals are doing that. And so kudos for that. Tell me about the Islamabad Literature Festival, Raheela.
Islamabad Literature Festival, it started in 2013, 3 years after the KLF. The success of KLF prompted us that and then of course there were people who were asking us to bring it to Islamabad, to the people of Rawalpindi, and to the adjoining cities. So in 2013, we took this festival to Islamabad, and we organized the first Islamabad Literature Festival at Margila Hotel. It was a medium sized hotel with nice three halls, and we could accommodate our sessions and our other paraphernalia which goes along with the festival. So for good 6 7 years we kept on having it at Hotel Margila. But recently, um, we moved the venue. In fact, last year we moved the venue to F9 Park in Islamabad, which is a property owned by CDA. So, in their partnership, we held it in that F9 Park venue. They have a beautiful building out there, and it's called Well, it's a very lovely, beautiful building where we held this, and we had around, again in Islamabad, there were around 70,000 people attending this festival. It was a massive success. We never thought that we'll be able to attract such a large crowd from Lahore and Islamabad. The auditorium of the building, which could accommodate around 800 people, in few of our sessions, it was chock-a-block, jam-packed. And instead of 800, it was accommodating around 1,200 to 1,500. I mean, double the capacity. There was no place to walk, to sit in the auditorium. And the kind of positivity we had, because all our embassies are there, the foreign missions are there, the government offices are there, the bureaucracy sits there. So everybody was there, and they were all full of praises for the festival, because it's the impression, the discourse, the discussions which were taking place in it, which they were so meaningful. The speakers whom we invited were all very powerful speakers, so it really did create an impact within within the echelons of uh, the bureaucracy, the diplomatic circles, the general public. So very happy to have such a success in Islamabad as well.
So, was there a high attendance by young people? Were there students there?
Mm, Fortunately, and to our utter surprise, generally the impression was that normally the middle aged and the senior citizens come to attend the festivals, because they are the ones who are more interested in books and reading. But at the Islamabad, it was such a surprise to see more of the younger crowd. The universities, the college students, they were predominant throughout those 2.5 days. The
Oh,
most popular session was, it was in Urdu, we call it poetry recitation, where this competition of verses takes place.
Bazi.
So that, sorry?
That's Bazi?
Bazi, exactly. So the Bazi, or this poetry reading competition, was the most popular session, and we kept it in the morning. Like it was the first session in the morning, and we thought that the younger crowd, so the university and the colleges students, it will be convenient for them. But not only the university students, the college students were there. It was also occupied by our authors, writers, general public. So the hall was totally filled up. And when we and next year when we were planning to have our KLF, so the pressure is that we should have a similar Bazi competition in Karachi as well, because the Islamabad one was very, very popular. So that shows the attraction the younger people are having for the festival, and the love it is creating for the younger people towards books and reading, because they were buying books, they were seen interacting with the authors, having their autographs taken, having their pictures taken with them. They were so that interaction created that impact, that how important these activities are to create awareness among our youth.
And I'm just so surprised that there were 70,000 people that attended the Islamabad Literature Festival. I didn't even know there were 70,000 people in Islamabad.
It was not only Islamabad. There were a lot of people from Rawalpindi, from Aptabad, from Peshawar, from Lahore. People drove to Islamabad just to attend the festival.
That's just brilliant. That's so wonderful. And did you already tell us how many people attend? We know that there were 5,000 people that attended the first Karachi Literature Festival in 2010, 15 years ago. And now how many attended per day
It was around 120,000 people.
this time around?
Yes.
Wow.
So from 5,000 to more than 100,000. That's the leap we've got.
That is pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. And do you think that over the years you've learned lots of lessons? First, tell me about the challenges that you faced in these years. Particularly, I'm thinking it must cost a lot to put together such a festival, no?
Yes, of course. I think OUP alone gradually it was becoming very difficult for OUP alone to put together the festival. So we had to have sponsors, we had to have friends of festival, and of course then we would join hands by consulates, by embassies, by banks, by pharmaceutical companies. They stepped forward to support us. So that is there. And you said that challenges, you wouldn't believe what kind of challenges I had been having in the past few years. If I remember correctly, it was in 2019, when the airports were shut down in Pakistan, and the flights were stopped, and we couldn't fly in our international speakers. A few of our speakers were stuck at Dubai airport because the Pakistan airstrips were closed, and uh, we couldn't do anything.
Was because
Similarly,
that was because there was uh, there was an attack, wasn't there?
I
From
think there was some, yeah, there was
there
some,
was errant missile or something that came
yes,
to the border.
something I don't exactly remember, but yes, something did happen that all our airports were sealed for 3 days, and no domestic international flights were taking off or landing. Everybody who was wherever was stuck, and our festival was, I mean, it was started, it was there. Our speakers were supposed to join in. So, we couldn't get an international speakers. They were sent back. Whoever was stuck in Dubai was then went sent back to wherever they were coming from. Within Pakistan, we couldn't fly in. But the lovers, there were certain people who I still remember. They drove from Lahore and Islamabad, like Haris Khalik.
Yes,
He drove from Islamabad.
yes.
That chairman of HRCP at that time, um, like I'm just remember forgetting his name. What has gone wrong to my memory? Um,
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Ayer Rahman.
Yes,
Ayer Rahman.
yes,
Well, Ayer Rahman was, Haris Khalik started driving from Islamabad, picked up Ayer Rahman from Lahore, and a couple of other speakers, and overnight they drove to Karachi just to attend their sessions the next day morning and be there at the festival. So that was the attraction. That was the love. And I and one of my colleagues, a couple of my colleagues, we sat half the night calling up people within Karachi, apologizing to them, requesting them that so and so was unable to come to Karachi because of this emergency what is taking place. So but the festival is going on, the session is there. Would you like taking over that slot and be a speaker in that session? And the kind of positivity I received, people were happy, they were eager. They said, not to worry, if XYZ is not able to come, we are happy to take that place. But the show must go on, the sessions must go on, the festival should not stop. So, that was the love and warmth I got at the time of emergencies. Last year, KLF, I don't know whether you remember it or not, there was this attack at the police station on Sharai Faisal.
yes.
And remember, and it was such a chaos. So what we did was we asked our security to seal the gates. The guests who were inside the hotel, we asked them to stay inside, and so that it's more safer to be within the premises than to be outside on the road. There was a dinner by the German consulate, and they were worried that what will they do, and we said that just don't create any panic. Let's continue the way it is going and be cool and calm in it, and in a couple of hours the thing will subside, and that's what happened.
Well,
So these are the
I'll tell you
things.
a story of that. We were sitting for dinner, and Shehan and Damon and I were at the same table, and the news came that this attack had happened, and the two of them looked at each other with some sense of worry, and they asked me, "Should we be worried?" And someone else at the table said, who was a die-hard Karachiite, said, "Oh, don't worry. Nothing to worry about. We'll just take another route back home."
See, that is what that shows the resilience of the Karachites, the resilience of the people, and the confidence. And for us, it was a challenge because it was for us to ensure that the safety of the speakers, the safety of the guest, the safety of all that crowd who was there. But very coolly, calmly, as a team, whether it's myself, whether it's my colleagues, whether it was my security guys or the agency which was there guarding the hotel, we quietly, tighten up the security. We quietly managed everything so that the dust settled down and the roads are clear. The sooner we got the news that, okay, now everything is under control, you can let the guests leave and open the gates, we quietly, calmly let things, take its own course without creating any emergency or any, kind of a havoc around there. So this is how things have been going on, and there are so many incidences which happened in the past years. There was one of the festival in which um, Shobha Day was attending, and some something happened in Karachi that the Shara Festival was blocked, and all entrance and exit points to the airport were sealed. And Shobha Day had a flight, and she was insisting that she had to be at the airport. She had to take that flight because she has got a very important meeting the next day with some head of the state, which she cannot miss. And she has been trying to get that appointment in so many months, and she can't afford to. So, one way or the other, she had to be taken to the airport. And of course, she was getting angry. And then we had to pull certain strings. We had to ask some friends. And then one of our friend who runs a security agency in Pakistan came forward, and he sent his bulletproof vans and guards to take Shobha and a couple of other Indian guests to airport through some route which only those security people knew, which the general public are not aware of. So after half an hour, a quarter of an hour, we got the confirmation, okay, Shobha Day and the other Indian dignitaries are safely at the airport, not to worry about. They have been, onboarded the flight. So, these are so many such incidents where something or the other has been happening, and we had to do the troubleshooting. We had to manage the confusions or the emergencies which crops up, and yet keep a straight face, expressionless, emotionless demeanor, so that others should not guess what all is happening behind the scenes. So that's where I come in. And when you say you're not seen anywhere around, because I'm doing all these troubleshootings,
Yes.
I don't want my festival to be hindered in any way.
And the story you just told us about Shobha Day and the other Indian guests, and I can only say it shows the extreme to which Pakistanis will go in their hospitality and accommodation of our guests. And I just have to say that. What a wonderful story, and at the same time, a little bit terrifying. Um, so, Raheela, tell me a little bit more about the cost of putting up something like the Karachi Literature Festival.
Honestly, Maniza, the cost has gone skyrocket now. When the first one was held, it was the kind of a cost which between OUP and British Council, it was conveniently managed. But over the period, it has really gone skyrocket, and now it is not possible for any one organization to run it all by themselves. So then we take these title sponsors with us. Like for last couple of years, for the Karachi, it is HBL who have been sponsoring us. For Islamabad, it was Gets Pharma who are our title sponsors. So and along with other consulates, embassies, and banks. Then these NBFs and the funding organizations. So we have a mix of all these. Then we have sponsors who do not support in terms of money, but they give us um, some sort of support. Like Tehzeeb Foundation is always there to sponsor a singer for the closing musical night, whether it's a kavali or it's a ghazal or anything light music. Tehzeeb Foundation comes forward. Then we have US Consulate who always sponsor a couple of US based speakers for us. The Goethe Institute sponsor a German speaker. The French Alliance Francaise sponsor a couple of French speakers. So that's how the ball starts rolling. That then we get a mix of all these speakers internationally, and our funding, which is saved from there, it is spent obviously on the logistics, on making arrangements. The for Karachi, the festival takes place at Beach Luxury Hotel, so the hotel needs to be paid. It's a commercial venture for them. For us, it's a free, no ticket um, entry. People, it's open and free to all. But for hotel, obviously, it's a commercial venture, so we have to pay the hotel. Then the flights which are booked, the domestic speakers which are to be mobilized, and the sound system, the branding. I mean, it all takes money. So obviously we have to have friends of the festival to support us.
And how many can I just ask, have you really explored the idea of having private individuals uh, fund this, like just ordinary citizens, no matter what the amount, even 1,000 rupee drives? Because obviously this is a free event and it should remain free to the public. But is there a way of doing a GoFundMe kind of an activity for such an important annual event that everybody looks forward to?
We had been thinking about it, but have not implemented as yet. We do open the doors and we do advertise that the festival is going. When we start advertising about the festival, and we ask that we are open to sponsorships. Unfortunately, nobody in individual capacity has ever uh, came forward to support us, with the exception of a few, like you sponsor a couple of prizes for the best books, or guest farmer sponsor um, uh, best book prizes in fiction or in a few other categories. But after leaving that aside, um, so far we had not been approached in this for this kind of activity as yet. Maybe, I don't know, in future we might consider announcing that if anybody would like to, be a sponsor with even a small amount like 1,000 rupee. But to date we have not done that. I don't know about the future, but to date we have not done it.
Well, Rahila, before we close out on this segment, we'll come back again. We'll take a pause and come back. But I just want to say that another beautiful feature about the Karachi Literature Festival over the years is that once the Literature Festival puts out their schedule and it is advertised in the newspaper, in Dawn, for example, then a lot of friends, including mine in Karachi, everybody looks at the schedule and decides which sessions they're going to go to and where they're going to meet up, and it becomes like being at a university for 2.5 days. We all get to be students again.
That's true. It's fun. It's fun and learning both goes together.
So now, Rahila will take a little pause and we'll come right back in.
Okay. Good seeing you. Thank you. Okay. Okay.
So, Rahila, tell me a little bit about your own story, your background, and how and when you joined Oxford University Press.
I joined Oxford University Press way back in 2001. So now it's been 22 years. And I started in the sales department, then moved to the editorial, heading the design, and working closely with the editors to sort of develop um, the the manuscript to a camera ready copy. So that was the work initially which I was doing after sales. Then somewhere in, it was 2005 or 6, that I was asked to establish the marketing department within OUP. Prior to that, sales and marketing were one department. So as the work spread and the requirement for sort of organized promotion, publicity became the need of the day, So I was given this challenge to establish the marketing department. So that's where I started it, working onto it. And then there was, as I said, it continued, and from marketing manager, moved as marketing director, worked for 14 years as marketing director. Last 2 years, I was given the task of director, communications, public relation, and events. So that was I'm doing right till now what I have been doing. Prior to joining Oxford University Press, I worked for Duty Free Shop Limited in their purchase department, managing the international marketing and international procurement of products for the duty free outlets. And then before that, my first and initial job was with Jung Group of newspapers, where I was working with Mir Shakilur Rahman when they were starting the Aman Ki Asha program. So I was among those initial people who started working on Aman Ki Asha,
Can you
worked with Jung for a year, and then left.
can you tell me a lot more about, tell me a little bit about the Aman Ki Asha program?
At that time, Maniza, it was sort of a brainchild. Since it was a brainchild for me, Shakil Rahman, so it was building up.
Mhm.
They were thinking about that. So the basic what we I started because I joined in their marketing. So the initial was the work which I was given was that if we go out in the market with a project proposal, and then the Jung Group would be giving all the promotion and publicity of their project and will organize it. And we'll be needing a sponsor to manage all the financial bit of it. So that
Mhm.
was, I was asked that come up with a project, conceive an idea, build a project plan, find out a sponsor to take that project plan to an execution stage. The Jung Group and the division would be that the Jung Group would give all the publicity and the promotion, and the sponsor will take care of the financial impact. So
Mm.
I did around 3 projects at that time with them, and of course that was the start of being how can we take these projects to a larger scale, how can we have better collaborations with other countries, with other projects. So that was just the initial thought which was building up when I started working on it.
And talk about the projects themselves. What was the objective of this?
It was just to create sort of a relationship with the right kind of organizations. Like for example, I did my first project was it was a baby show which was sponsored by Shield Group, and we had these lovely beautiful kids with their mothers, and there was a criteria which I put together, and based on that criteria we had a jury member, a set of jury, they decided, and the prizes were given to the best babies um, of that competition. So that was one which was sponsored by Shield, and the Young Group gave it a lot of promotion and publicity. Then I had a sort of, it was a creative contest of um, I think it was an essay writing or a story writing competition which I did. Again, the same perspective. So these were the baby steps which were moving towards the larger project, which was coming up, which was being built up, and which later, I think a few years later, was launched as the Aman Kyasha, because young group came to know and it was clear that yes, if you're going to do projects, we'll be getting sponsors, there will be people who will be joining hands with us to take it forward. So that was how it all started, and that is where I got my experience of managing events and my experience of getting sponsors, talking to them, selling projects, and which helped me later at OUP, of course, when I started doing the events for them, and when I later came, of course, with the festivals then.
And I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So Aman Ki Asha, the projects were focused internally on Pakistan and sort of, these public relationing kind of projects, or were they meant to be across borders?
Aman Ki Asha it was a main project with India and Pakistan basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was the time I mean, it was, and this I'm talking about in 90s, early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
when the relationship with India and Pakistan were very cordial. There were no visa. I mean, they weren't, getting a visa was not all that difficult. Things were very congenial. It was better. So we could build up on those relationships, getting people from India, the journalists, the policy makers, the decision makers was not all that difficult. And similarly, people were going from Pakistan to there to talk about the people to people engagements, and
Mm-hmm.
that was being promoted through this project.
Mm-hmm.
The people to people relationship, people to people engagements, people of to people exchange of ideas, and it was all on very good footing,
Mm-hmm.
um, till a few years back when the annexation of Kashmir took place.
Mm-hmm.
Then the things really came to a halt and a standstill.
Mm-hmm. And so then, after that, you went to the to manage duty-free shops, and then after that, you came to Oxford University Press. And in these 22 years at Oxford University Press, what have you seen to be the major challenges to publishing?
I mean, there had been challenges at various times on various issues.
Mm.
Sometimes it is the paper, no availability of paper. Sometimes it's the prices. Sometimes is the printers out in the market are unable to deliver on time because of the electricity crisis, because of one problem or the other. So, I have seen so many ups and downs throughout
Mhm.
in my these 22 years. Piracy is another very major factor which
Mhm.
affects us, or in other words, the publishers. And it's not that the price of the books are higher. The piracy comes in because it's easy money for the people, for the pirates. And they sell, I mean, they do a substandard copy, sell it at the same price as that of OUP book price, and the difference they keep it in their pocket. The loser are the end consumer who get a substandard book in their hand,
Mhm.
and then they think that OUP has done a terrible job in printing the book, but it's a pirated version. And that's where we keep on telling the people that buy your books from proper bookseller or from a sound trader, because, and if you find a book which is of substandard, please contact OUP directly. Come to us and we'll check it out and we'll let you know. We had been trying to sort of educate people about it. We've been trying to incorporate different ways to sort of find out between a genuine and a non-genuine book, so that can know, people can know, traders can know. But the piracy market in Pakistan is really very strong, and we and other publishers are continuously trying to sort of fight with it. Last of the challenge which I could see we faced was when the single national curriculum was introduced. In principle, yes, single national curriculum is a good idea, but
Sounds,
the problem lied in its execution.
yeah.
The way it was implemented, it is not the right way. It was definitely not. And then we, as a national publisher, going to various curriculum boards and the textbook boards to get NOCs, it became a Herculean task for us. We win, we keep our prices low because we have the economy of scale with us. And again, if we're going to print 20,000 books in one print run, that's going to bring the price low. But if you're going to break it into 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, one for Sindh is going to be different. For Punjab, is going to be a different version. For Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, is going to be a different version. Then obviously it becomes an Herculean task to keep the prices low, to keep it within the purchasing power of the people. So, these are the various issues which had been happening over a period of time, and I had been a witness how, as publishers, we had been trying to maneuver ourselves, manage ourselves, and try to keep ourselves surviving in the market.
So the bread and butter products for Oxford University Press Pakistan, and probably worldwide as well, are textbooks and dictionaries and educational materials.
Yes, we are primarily education publishers, but yes, we do academic and books as well. But then, of course, um, that is in Pakistan, that is not our major bread and butter. We try to bring out books which reflect Pakistan, which reflects what, as a Pakistani academic, people could shed light on Pakistan's economy, its international relations, whatever it could be, but mainly focused on Pakistan. That's what our academic line of business is. But yes, mainly our bread and butter are the school textbooks.
So, school textbooks and non-fiction, history, memoirs, books on the
We don't do memoirs, Maniza. We don't do memoirs. It's our books are mainly the academic books are um, purely scholarly research books, and they have to be contributing to the corpus of that content which is there. It has to be, as publishers, it's our responsibility to give out the varied perspectives out in the broad daylight and let people decide what is right, what is wrong. But for us, it is that we bring all perspectives to light and we publish them.
so
And
this, mhm.
and they have to be properly researched and scholarly work. It can't be a whimsical fiction or a whimsical writing that we publish. We don't do that. We have a very strict system where we evaluate each and every manuscript before we publish it.
Hmm. Um, and amongst the challenges that you mentioned, there was a cost of paper was a challenge. And are most of the materials used in publishing, use a book, are these imported in Pakistan?
Yes, because even if we don't do printing ourselves, our printing is all outsourced.
Hmm.
So when we go to any of the local printer, the machines which they get, of course, they have to get it. Those are all imported machines. The ink which they use, the paper which they use, the material which they use. So that is, most of it is imported. But then, of course, then we have the labor is ours. The paper, you get a balance of imported and local paper depending on whichever is they are getting at a cheaper price. But then the printer faced the problem of the electricity. Most of the time, if it is not there, or the law and order conditions are not there, um, they are unable to open their businesses, and there are so many other l- locally local challenges which sort of delay the deadlines, that it becomes difficult to have the books published on time. And with textbooks, there is, that we have an academic cycle. So the once the examinations are over, the books have to be available to the students for their next classes. And if the books are not available on time, a lot of negative impressions are created. So we have to be very, very careful how we manage our supply lines, and how timely we are able to get the books out in to the market.
And earlier, you and I were talking about how Oxford University Press he had or still has 16 bookshops of its own outlets, but now you're downsizing or completely going out of bookshops.
Not completely. We've got our bookshops in major cities. We've got in Karachi, one in Lahore, Islamabad. We've got our bookshops there, but we used to have smaller shops in smaller towns and cities. Those we have closed down, and we are going through the trade to approach that market
You're going through, sorry?
through the trade,
Okay,
booksellers.
through booksellers to sell OUP books. Well, that's smart, and of course you have online sales as well.
Yes, because that is, I mean, we have noticed that after the COVID, a lot of people have gone online. So our website, which has our e-commerce shop out there, it is receiving a lot of traction, and we are receiving a lot of orders directly through our website. And we've got good sales through our website and through online sales.
Wonderful. That's really wonderful. And Rahila, going back to your own story, did you grow up in Karachi or Lahore? And where did you get your education?
Okay, I was born in Rawalpindi,
Mhm.
and all my initial education, like I did my schooling from Presentation Convent, Rawalpindi. Then we moved to Islamabad, and I did my intermediate and bachelor's from FG College F74 in Islamabad. Then did my master's in admin sciences from Qaid Azam University, Islamabad. After that, I got married and then moved to Karachi.
Oh,
I never liked moving to Karachi. I never liked the city. Even after living for 3 decades in Karachi, I still don't like it. And I love my city, and I call Islamabad my village. And if any opportunity at any point of time, if I manage to, I would always love to live in Islamabad.
are your school friends in Islamabad?
Of course, my all my childhood was there. As I said, my schooling, my college, my university colleagues are still there in Islamabad. I am in contact with them. We've got a Qaid Azam University alumni, and I'm a member of that. So I miss all that fun which I used to have in Islamabad. And another thing, at that time when I was there in Islamabad, now Islamabad has become quite a busy city. When I was there way back, it was a very small, cool kind of a place. I could do cycling on the streets, walk on the roads for hours. When the weather was cloudy and it's raining, I used to take my car and go on for drivings around. There was I mean, I never felt that something could happen to me. It was such a fear-free kind of an environment at that time, that life in Islamabad seemed as if you live in a shell, and what all is happening around, you're not a part of it. But then when I came to Karachi, I found what the actual reality is, what actual life is all about. Life in Islamabad is not what normal people lead or what normal people have. So that was kind of a blow which I had when I moved to Karachi, because Karachi was a totally different city for me.
Hmm?
Um, well, you'll take me to a state of nostalgia. I'll keep on talking about Islamabad for hours and hours, and then you'll have to say, "Cut it out, Raila. It's too much.
I,
Islamabad is getting too much on my nerves."
this is now getting to be very interesting because we're learning a little bit more about you, and I think that's lovely. And Islamabad is where you grew up, and that's where your schooling was, and you have a deep affinity to it, and a nostalgia and love for it. And what's not to like about the Margala Hills and the cool weather, and it lasts for so long, and the flowers and
Oh
school.
my God.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. Islamabad now is really a, a sort of it is turning into a bigger city. It was well, like my father, he worked for CDA,
Mhm.
and he was among those initial town planners, architects who were involved in the planning of Islamabad. So he used to be talking to us about it, that how they planned the city, how they're going to spread it, expand it. And I tell you, these underground tunnels or the underpasses or these high riser buildings or the overhead bridges, they were not supposed to be a part of Islamabad.
They were
Islamabad was supposedly a flatter terrain with with not these high rises there, because it's not meant to be.
It was
The
earthquakes zone, and then
Yes,
and the people who planned Islamabad also kept in mind, huge green spaces, and had planted
yes.
so many trees. And it's heartbreaking to see how much of that has been cut down and to in the service of malls and high rises.
Yes, and the green belts, which was supposed to be a part and parcel of each and every sector, they have spoiled those green areas. Every sector is supposed to have a park of its own, green belts of its own. It's nothing there.
Yes.
They have just spoiled. the whole beauty of Islamabad, and it really gives me a heartache. Um, and I felt bad about it, that I don't know who to go and cry about this. That why are you spoiling the beauty of this city? What have you done to this city?
And since that is your city, you feel so strongly about it. But if you look at Lahore, you look at Karachi, they're all going through the same heartless transformations of these underpasses and overpasses, and all in the service of I don't know what. These are not cities; they're becoming highways.
And and concrete jungles.
Yes.
You see buildings and concrete everywhere. You don't see any human element. The trees, the balance, those elements to balance the ecosystem. That's why it's so much smog. There's so much pollution, and people are edgy all the time because they are inhaling not the clean air. They're just inhaling polluted air and getting edgy, irritable. It's spoiling everything. The infrastructures, the balance within the human psyches, the human interaction, the normal ecosystem, you name it, and it's all gone.
So right, and yet still Islamabad still has something that many other places don't have in Pakistan. This you see people going for walks, their children playing, games in parks. There is that culture that was, I think, nurtured by the planners in Islamabad 60 years ago, 70 years ago.
But I think still, having said that, despite whatever is happening now, I think those planners must be crying in their graves.
Yes.
They never imagined the city to be what it is now. But anyway, I think, as you said, everywhere there has been a change. All cities have turned into concrete jungles, whether it is Lahore or it's Islamabad or it's Karachi.
Yeah.
But in all these, I think the worst hit is Karachi. It seems nobody has bothered to take care of this city. Where the city is going, how it's developing. I mean, there is no water, there is no electricity. People are just making their own arrangements. There is lawlessness everywhere. It's a pity that we have to be talking on these lines where we are critical about our own city, but it hurts
It does.
that what has the Karachi people done to deserve this kind of uh, behavior or this kind of attitude from the decision making quarters?
Yes, well, it all goes back, Rahila, to many things, but one of the things, as you know, is that Karachi was the capital of Pakistan, and then it was moved. The capital was moved to Islamabad, and with that went a lot of focus and a lot of budget and the rest of it, and plans that should have been in place and were in place were never realized. But that's a very long story and a sad one. In it is the entire history of Pakistan. But tell me, when you go to Islamabad for the literature festival, that must be so much fun for you.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I make it a point to, in all my busy schedule, I take out half an hour to 1 hour to go and visit my university. That is one place I just love to visit every time when I go to Islamabad.
Yeah,
I just go to my university, take a round around my department, go to those famous Majid Khokas, which every Qaid Azam University student knows about. Try to have a meal at those khokas and then come back.
tell me about the.
And
Uh, uh,
these Majid khokas,
huh?
they were called Majid ka khoka.
Okay.
And now that I think Majid was the father, now his son is running those khokas out there. When once you enter the university, on the left is the library and the admin buildings and everything, and the right you see these. What are these? I mean, these are sort of not even pakka concrete kind of a things, but at that time, even now, there are those kacha pakka huts,
Okay.
and they've got chairs lined up, tables out on the ground, and students sitting there, and they all love to. That's one place where all the students come sit and have their meals, which was on a very sort of reasonable price, and garam with the garam roti and all sorts of different, like anda ghutala and vegetable mix, vegetables. Because as student you couldn't afford to have chicken every day. This was the most expensive dish, or
Mhm.
mutton or beef. So we used to have this anda ghutala and mixed with vegetables, and that was our favorite dish out there, and our meeting place, and it was really fun.
Out
And
of
and I tell you one thing, what happened once, that it's just I remember this small incident. We were in the third semester. It was our second year at the university, and this new batch comes in, the first semester students, and at that time, again talking way back in late 80s, early 90s, nobody has heard about Valentine's Day. So there was no such thing as a Valentine Day. So these young students, we saw them, on the 14th of February, they were all wishing each other happy Valentine and passing cards and giving flowers. And the third semester students, our friends, they came to us and asked us, what are they celebrating? What is this all about? And then we sort of dig it out what it is. At that time there wasn't any Google or a quick internet or smartphone that one could do it immediately. So we dig out the information. Then we thought, oh, this is what it is. But then our boys got a bit stuck up with this, that we were so naive, we didn't know any of these things. So they said, tomorrow we are going to celebrate our own special day.
Hmm.
And the next day, what these boys did, they brought their cars. They got these big tins of Ovaltine. They put those Ovaltine boxes, empty tins, on the roof of their cars, put on loud music. And the cars were parked in a circle. All these boys were inside, and the we girls were sitting, outside, with standing with their cars, with loud music on, and they were dancing, and there was a lot of festivity going on. And then these first semester students, now they were inquiring, what are the seniors doing? What are they celebrating? And we turn around and very, arrogantly used to tell them, we are celebrating the Old Times Day. And they would look at each other, what is Valentine's Day? Said, go and find out. Those were those funny little stupidities which as student you do, you enjoy, and then you think that, when what was so funny in it? But at that time, we had the kicks of our lifetime, celebrating the Valentine's Day and giving the first semester a shock of their life, that what the hell is Valentine Day is, and they don't know about it.
That is
You know,
brilliant. And only students can come up with creative ways of, in a way, you can say it is in itself a kind of a resistance. Okay, you don't want us to celebrate Valentine's Day? Well, we're going to celebrate Ovaltine's Day.
exactly. And these were those very small, because I was a very naughty student at my when I was in my, of course, university days. And in our when it was the last month of our second year, I mean, like, the masters was coming to an end. So one of our colleague, he brought those Vigo trucks. I don't know what they called at that time, but the truck which is used to be open from the behind, and all of us
Yeah.
rode up to that Vigo truck, and we went to Murray, dancing all the way from Islamabad to Murray with loud music on, singing songs, and having a party in that open truck. And that was our kick out of it.
Yeah.
That we danced on the music, and we drove till Murray in an open truck.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that was
Now, if you could,
joy, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry.
It was such a joy. It,
Yeah, it was. I mean, now if somebody asks me, I'll say, I think I was crazy to do a thing like that. But at that time, it gave a lot of kick, because all the cars passing by, people going around and seeing all these young girls and boys dancing on a truck, and loud music on, and doing all sorts of funny, laughing things.
and nobody
I mean,
bought.
आजकल के बच्चे में, I don't know, nobody, but they just looked at us, they waved. But I don't think the children of today can even think of these kind of pranks. They are too sophisticated, probably.
Well, other than being sophisticated, perhaps it wouldn't be well received either. It wouldn't be kindly received.
Yeah, yeah, they might have been hold up by the police or the law enforcement agencies that what the hell are they doing. But then it was, I don't know, I think presently the students have really gone way, for them these are, these innocent uh, pranks are no longer a fun thing to do. They are more into more sophisticated pranks where they do fast driving, racing, firing, um, shooting. That gives them more kick than a simple dance on an open track.
They do what they're allowed to do. Seems like dancing is more dangerous than a gun.
Yeah, you might be right.
Mm.
I think we've gone too fundamentalist over a period of time now. You're right. I think loud music and dancing might not be perceived positively in present circumstances.
Yeah, that is so sad. But Raheela, it is keep on that note, it is really heroic, wonderful, worth congratulating Oxford University Press Pakistan, yourself and your team for keeping up what started 15 years ago, the Karachi Literature Festival. And it has only grown since then. You modestly said that it's 100,000 people who come to it. I think it's much more than that. And people wait for this every year. And it is such a huge contribution, I think, to the literary discourse in Pakistan and elevating it. And it is definitely a cultural event. And even the authors that come from abroad, they are people of consequence. They are people who have written wonderful fiction and nonfiction, have won awards and accolades internationally, and are at the forefront of all the social and political conversations that are ongoing in the world today. You really have done a marvelous job, Raheela, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Maniza. It's really an honor for me to be here talking to you, and your appreciation, your kind words. This gives me that energy to keep me moving, to keep me on my toes, to give me that energy to do this work again and again. And I hope and pray that God remain kind to me, give me the energy and the strength to keep on organizing this lovely festival for OUP, for the people of Pakistan, for the literary community, um, till I have the strength in me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raheela. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks. Bye.